Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham of goodforthegame.co.za. Welcome to the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. We've got quite a bit of rugby to get through tonight. We don't have team news on all the games, so we might just touch on some of it as we go. But I've got what I'm going to call a regular panel here. We got at the Crow Tips, top right of screen. Let's welcome him first. Chris, how you, mate? And how's things there in the Isle of Man?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks, Brenty. Yeah, all going well. Work's going well. Pretty settled here now, so it's all good. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. I look almost, I've moved back to my study and I've got the laptop going. So I'm not on my phone today for a change, but I look a bit ghostly there. I used to look orange. People used to call me the Trumpster, but now I'm looking a bit pale, almost unhealthy. Well, I have had a bit of a cold this week, but someone who looks full of the joys of spring, if I could say. I saw a beer in his hand. It's Oracle. And Oracle, let me first of all say welcome back to the show. And you got me, mate. I'd forgotten about a long-term bet you took. I thought I was 1,000 Rand up on you after Griquas last week. And you said, no. We evens. You took England against New Zealand in the final of the Women's Rugby World Cup, which I do recall taking as a bet, but I'd forgotten about our bet. And, of course, we totally back square. So well done on that one.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. I was actually thinking about the bounces. I didn't get in front at all. So you were at 1,000 in front, 500 in front a couple of times. So I'm going to challenge you to rugby squash. Now, you've obviously played squash before. You play for the...
You can only win on serve.
Yes. So the first point is you play to win the serve. So what we'll do tonight is we'll find a game that we agree on, and we do 500. And when you're 1,000 Rand
we disagree
down,
on.
Sorry, that we disagree on, yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
And if you win the bet, you choose the game to bet on. Even if the guy likes it, you've got to choose it. And if you get 1,500 in front, you settle. You go back to zero. So 1,000, you can still win your way back. 500, you can win. 1,000, you can win. And let's see how we go till, I don't know, Christmas. Whatever the situation is, then we'll settle up. But I like that idea because I've got out of it a couple of times, and I have to thank the Canadian woman. And I'm punting this weekend. I can tell you already before I even look. I thought I saw 7 earlier. I haven't had a bet yet, but I'm definitely punting them. I'm excited for URC, but I'll be deadly honest with you. I don't know if I'm going to be having a bet on URC because I'm going to be betting on the 2 championship games and the Women's World Cup. But yeah, I think it's going to be a watch and see. I will watch all the games this weekend, but I might find something at halftime or maybe just before the game. But yeah, no, 1,000 Rand, bro. It's 50 euros or 55 euros or something. Very little. It's a McDonald's meal.
Well, Brad, you're also in Canada last week, no? It was you and
yeah, no, yes, I got it early in the week. Early in the week. So I sacrificed my long-term bet last week because I had a bigger bet on Canada to beat New Zealand. I also had handicap doubles, and that's the only thing that let me down last week. We'll get into the Women's Rugby World Cup a bit more later, but I was on the England minus 19, and that's one of those cases where I was spot on. The line moved, but if your bet doesn't arrive, it doesn't really help you in the end. And England only won by 18 points, which actually flattered them, I must tell you. It was one of those bets that never looked good. Just want to take a quick break to welcome all the boys in the live chat. Henrik joining us. Yeah, Shane, of course, we know when Oracle's on, Shane always makes an attempt to come on, although he had no way of knowing you'd be on tonight, I must tell you. Auburn is there. Mark Dunphy, of course, from Ireland. He's confused about the Stormers' handicap. He's saying, why are Leinster such big favourites? And we'll get to that game, of course, with so few of their top players. Farid is there. I know he's very excited for the weekend. And one thing I just want to throw in before we even get into the rugby and welcome, Brad, is that of course it's Ryder Cup, and I'm running a blog for that on the Good for the Game website. So got a couple of long terms done, but more importantly, going to be looking at all the match day bets. Certainly one of my favorite events of every 2 years, if I could call it, and really looking forward to that. Chris, anything to add before we get cracking?
No. Also love the Ryder Cup. I've been well into the build-up this week, so I'm firing. I was watching the opening ceremony earlier, so yeah, looking forward to it. I think I've seen 1 or 2 your punts earlier yesterday, so I think I'm on your side. I can't remember what you're taking though, but I liked it. But we can discuss it at the end if you want.
Yes, I'll bring up the slide now. In fact, I thought I was bringing up my blog, but I brought up the wrong thing. But that's no problem. We'll get that right. I want to start with you, Chris. Bunnings NPC. I didn't get a chance to get hold of Mossman this week to bring him on. Things just caught up with me. I'm sure he would have been able to make the show. So I don't have inputs, but I know you kind of follow it from a distance. Anything there catch your eye? I'm going to quickly skim down the handicaps. We've got Southland plus 15.5 against Tasman. Otago minus 15.5. Been a market move there. I think you'll tell us about against North Harbour. Taranaki plus is at minus 9.5 against Wellington. Sorry, my eyes are not good. Yeah, Bay of Plenty minus 8.5 against Waikato. Counties Manukau minus 11.5 against Manawatu. And Northland plus 7.5 against Canterbury. Anything you fancy? Anything you want to comment on there, Chris?
Yeah, no, it's pretty well capped again. I'll be honest, NPC hasn't been my favorites this year, and because of it, I started to lose interest. And as you know, as targeting points, there were a lot of lower scoring games this year that started to also throw me out on that. So, but then last weekend, I don't know if you follow it, but then last weekend there was a hell of a lot of points again, and there was a lot of points this morning, and now I can see the Lions are back up to classic NPC around 60 pointers. So, but again, because of the way the games have been going, those are scary numbers again. So I would be cautious. I think weather will play a role. I think it's very wet in New Zealand on Saturday. So I would probably, if I was looking at some bets, I'd probably actually go for the unders, even though it looks like it's trending back in the overs direction. But those are quite high lines for NPC this season. But if teams are starting to fade away, that's what happens towards the end. The points do come back up. That is a trend I have noticed. But Otago, very much like Otago. They won the Ranfurly Shield last week against Canterbury. Amazing. They've also been on form this year. I saw, as we were talking earlier, they opened up closer to 10. I saw earlier in the week, and I was very wanting to punt that today. I hadn't looked at it again. So it was going to be one of my favorite bets of the weekend for NPC. But, you know, North Harbour are not a good side. Otago got their big guns out again for this game. They're on form. You know, I would still even be if you want to play, if you are a Otago punter, I think minus 15 is still playable. But you just got to be careful of that terror, that Ranfurly Shield hangover. It's been taken off every game basically now. No, I don't think North Harbour are going to go to Otago and win. I think it'll be a massive performance if they do. But maybe a little small on Otago. I like Bay of Plenty, Waikato. Let's see what the weather is on Sunday. I think that is a game that could potentially have a lot of points. Could get close to the 60 mark. And then counties at home. They've also been pretty solid. I think I'm not getting say what it goes against my grain. I don't normally punt a double-digit minus, as you know, Brent. So it's treading light waters on it. Ooh. I think we've lost, Brent.
Sorry, no, I put the wrong.
No, you didn't.
Put the wrong screen on. I gave you such. I got an absolute shock there. I suddenly found myself staring straight at the Oracle. I was fiddling around with layouts there. Yeah, but I didn't mean to do that one. Yes.
Yeah. So my three that I at the moment not massive because of what I've just said about confidence, not massively confident, but with the Otago minus, counties minus, probably Northlands plus with the Canterbury. I think Northern at home are quite solid, and Canterbury aren't always the best travellers. So that would be my three ones that I'm looking at, but nothing is standout, to be honest, Brent.
And here's Shane saying, get the King large on the screen again.
Correct.
So I tell you what, let me, I haven't done this for a while, but let me just check here. Where is it now? I think it's this one. Let's see. There we go. There you go. You don't get larger than that, Shane, especially for you.
We need to get him. We need to get him a 4K HD camera now, though. That's the next thing we need.
No, I just need to clean it. I think the little lens thing's a bit dusty. That's all.
No, excellent, man. Well, anyway, that is the NPC. I'm sure if the Undertaker's still on there somewhere, he can share if he's got any bets, and I'll bring it up for the NPC this week. But boys, let's get on to Rugby Championship. I don't know about you, but it feels like wow, a good cup. Well, there's been a couple of weeks. It feels like a lot longer since we've had Rugby Championship action. That big Bok win in Wellington seems like an age ago. We've got two cracking games to look forward to. Of course, we've got the Bledisloe Cup, New Zealand up against Australia. And let's start with that one. This is, of course, taking place at Eden Park, where the Boks went down by 7 points 3 weeks ago. Now, the handicap was minus 12.5. It was fairly stable all week, but there has been a move over the last couple of days. And generally speaking, now you've got New Zealand minus 14.5 against Australia. And Gav, I'm going to start with you on this one. What do you think here? I mean, New Zealand will be stinging from that defeat. They've had a week to recover from it. But of course, let's not forget Australia top the table at the moment, even though they too are coming off a defeat against Argentina. What is going to happen in this one? I thought I'd have points lines by now. If anyone in the live chat has seen them, please share. But at this stage, I don't. Gav, so just the handicap.
Yeah. Excuse me. I like Australia here. I like Australia because they've come back twice against Argentina. They didn't get it right that second time. They had a great win against South Africa. I mean, they found a hole. They did it. Their kicking game wasn't too bad. I think New Zealand's in trouble. And I go back to what Henrik said a couple of years ago, not a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago, to say they were badly coached. And I think this coach, I think he's out of his depth. I think he's a Super Rugby coach. I don't think he should be anywhere higher than that. This is the bottom of New Zealand rugby. I mean, you go onto stuff and you go onto the Raw and you go read the comments. I mean, the diehard All Black fans are basically saying you've destroyed 130 years worth of rugby. You've destroyed in like 5 years or 4 years or whatever the number is, and they're horrified. And I got to tell you, I was at that game, mate. I was at that game in Durban, that 57-14 game. And I remember saying to my mate who was with me, how do we come back from this? We'd lost 57-0 and now we'd lost 57-14. I was on plus 14. I think I said this last week. But, geez, New Zealand, for our lifetime, Brett, this is the worst New Zealand has ever been in rugby. Not to say it's the worst team. Obviously, on paper, it's a fantastic team. But mentally and from a win percentage and a whatever, this is the worst they've ever been. This is their bottom, where our bottom was 2018 or end of 2017 or whatever it is. I like Australia here. Australia are mentally stronger. I think what we did 2 weeks ago to them was heavy. That was a proper blow. I don't think they recover straight away. I think it takes them a few more games, but they've got to defend this Eden Park story. And part of that 50-odd games, I think there's 18 of them are Australia. So Australia have had more throws of the darts at this than any other team. I just think they get it. If they don't win, they get very close. I'm a plus punter here, but I'm also a board punter. I think Australia can win this game. And I think I'm surprised this handicap's a double digit after what happened 2 weeks ago. I really am. I just think Australia in a much better place.
Right, well, we're going to bring Chris in just a second. I just want to comment on some of the live chat. A lot of sentiment Aussie plus there, joining you, Gavin. I must admit, I'm also leaning in the direction of Australia. I see Henrik says he doesn't bet on New Zealand, but he's all over them this week. He doesn't think Australia being very good. And he mentions the first half minus on New Zealand. And that's an interesting one, Chris, to bring you in, because New Zealand tend to start quickly. They've started quickly in the majority. Even when they lost 43-10, they led 10-7 at the break, I think it was. And Australia have tended to start incredibly slow. And they came back to win at Ellis Park. They came back to win, I think it was in Townsville against Argentina. And they almost came back to win against Argentina last time. So that Henrik's bet, that halftime handicap, will certainly appeal to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, Chris, on the big Eden Park clash?
Sure. I've been going to and fro, to be honest, Brent. Like the number at 15 is an Australia play. Like I think any shrewd punter will know that. That's why you'll see loads of people are battling to go away from Australia on that number. But then I try and look at the bigger picture and look in front of me, because obviously also if you look at how the competition's gone, of course, Australia are back, aren't they? As you're saying. So, and they have been playing extremely well. But then I try to go a little bit deeper, and then I see, okay, well, when South Africa played their best rugby, they were blown off the park. They were nowhere to be seen. They've come back 3 out of the 4 games from behind. South Africa weren't good in Cape Town, so you can say all you want about Australia, but South Africa were not good. When Argentina put Australia under the pump, Australia were nowhere. Once Australia were way ahead, Australia came back. After last week, back at Eden Park, totally fired up New Zealand team comes. I'm trying to read the game now. This is what I'm trying to find what side I land on. Yeah, like if New Zealand come and start hard and fast, absolutely. I think any of these teams, us or New Zealand or Argentina, have proven you can still blow Australia out like away. You can get a 3-try score ahead of them very quickly. And I'm going to look at team sheets as well. I mean, no Valentini, no Skelton, no Tom Wright are 3 massive players for them. When they were out against the Lions, they were nowhere. They came back. They were good. They're not there now. Up against a massive New Zealand onslaught that's coming. Because
he's not in heaven.
But
definitely not in heaven.
But yes, New Zealand, they were blown away, but New Zealand when I hardly go against New Zealand that needs to play on a comeback game in a spot like this. So I'm worried for that number, but it's a number I'm looking at. So I've gone on the dance here. I'm probably my best bet of the weekend is going to be a double. I'll double on the probably. I'll go and buy up Australia up to +23. I think this cap is in danger if New Zealand arrive, but I would probably be more happy and put more of my stake on a plus Australia, just in case New Zealand take it there, because there's also a high chance there's a backdoor cover by Australia this around this cap. I think it's pretty well capped. But I don't think Australia, they're going to have to come back. I just don't think they're suited for this game. But I think it's going to be wet as well. That's going to be interesting as well. We just need to check the weather. Otherwise, I would have liked the points here, but it actually could end up being a scrappy game, actually.
Yeah, I did have a look at the weather early in the week. I didn't think it was that bad, but
yeah, I must check again. I saw heavy drops on my last report, but look, New Zealand weather, the forecast in New Zealand weather has been my biggest Achilles heel.
It can be very, very unpredictable. Yeah. But anyway, this looks, I'd have to say, a fairly well-kept game. You've obviously got support on both sides. As Hendrik said, it is an afternoon kickoff, so it's an early start for South Africans on Saturday morning, which I must admit I'm looking
seven in the morning.
Yeah, looking forward to that game, I must say. And I'm leaning towards Australia, but I'm probably going to look at the points lines as well, Chris. Not overly confident on anything there, I must say.
This is a classic bet builder game for me. About half an hour before, when I've sussed it all out, I'll have a little parlay, same game parlay probably.
A bit of a bet builder there. Farid and Hendrik disagreeing on this one. And let's move on to the next game, Chris. And I'm going to start with you. We've got South Africa minus 15.5 against Argentina. This handicap hasn't gone far. It's been varying between 15.5 and 16.5 all week. It is in Durban. The weather doesn't look bad in Durban. But I guess I'm going to say that if there's an opportunity for a points unders play at around 55 or something, I'm going to probably be on it in Durban. So I don't know why I'm so pale. This really does look funny in this light. But Chris, what are your thoughts on this one? I'm going to pop out. I'm listening, but I'm just popping out for a second. I want to impress Gavin with something.
Okay. All right. Again, it's a high number here, Gav. But when you're playing caps, it's very difficult. International game, Durban. We saying the RGs are good, They've held us at Durban before. I think beaten us, didn't they, the last time? You'll probably be there, right?
Was that game? Yeah.
Yeah. I understand the Arge, but then Argentina and South Africa, besides that game, and I think that one game where we blew a 20-point lead, we could have won the championship. They came back by 2. It's generally bigger. It's bigger blowouts than this cap that we beat them, or there and thereabouts. So I can see why the number is where it's at. We put that team out against some All Blacks and we beat them well, and Rassie's come out with the same team. I think that's pretty much a big statement of intent that this game has been eyed, and they're giving those guys a chance because he hasn't chopped and changed. If we had chopped and changed, I might have a different opinion. But giving those boys another run against Argentina, and yes, Argentina are great. They're like they're like everyone's favorite team and second team. But I think a focused New Zealand hammered them by 20. A focused us will hammer them by 20. No problem at home. And that's my worry, especially this team. I think RGs are frauds. World Cups, they get hammered in every semi-final they get to. They're not big boys, I'm sorry to say. And this is a big boy match. And they might hang with us for a bit, but it's a high cap again. It's well capped. And again, I had 2 weeks ago, I gave the alt +10 box +10 Argentina. I think, it's not a massive, it's not as confident as that, but that is my best bet of the weekend. It'll be Arge +24, Australia +23, alt double. I think that does arrive, but I'm not as confident. I'm pretty sure that does arrive, but I'm not as confident as the previous week when I had that alt double. But I'm taking that approach this week again. Points, Durban are hardly ever points. Would be brave to take on the points. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen a points line, Brent? It's probably 50.
No points line yet. Weather doesn't look bad by Durban standards. But no, I haven't seen anything there on that. I'm going to bring the Oracle in now. Just also good to welcome JP, who's actually watching on Facebook. We don't get a lot of Facebook comment, so good to see you there. I want to bring Shane's question up, and Gavin, I want to ask you 2 things before you get stuck into the game. Shane asks, how do you bet these games? Less pre-game and stake a bit more in play, or just set and forget. And the next thing is, I didn't tell you, but I actually went over to Auckland, and I'm actually sitting in Mossman's lounge at the moment. Can you see the piano?
Yes.
Yeah, I can, Brent. But if you really want to impress me, you've got to have his wife walk behind you. That'll impress me. Now, actually, I had a work meeting a few years ago where there were 4 of us, and we all arrived with the same background. It was quite funny.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah,
and tell me something. Would you have a look at Shane's question? How do you bet?
Yes.
I guess he's asking for a pre-game strategy or an in-play strategy here.
Yeah, so back in the days of the mid to late 2000s, even early 2000s, when you bet in running, the bookmakers only stopped when the ball was out of play. And most of the betting was done on the telephone. So you would phone up and you'd have me on the line, and I'd say to you, just let's wait for a break of play. And of course, we were making the prices. And also, I know who I'm talking to. I know which punter it is. So there's no anonymity on, people betting on the internet. You have no idea where the next bet's going to come from. You've got the guy on the line. You're watching the game. You're making a price. Goes in for a line out. I was -7. It's a little bit closer. I go -8, whatever. And he's got 10 seconds to have a bet. So he's got to call it. And if the ball gets thrown back in, we suspend it again. So we suspended while the betting was in play. Today, it's open. But you've got this 10-second, in some cases, 15 seconds that stops you. And if you're like me, and I know, Brent, you've been paused before, I'm on streaming. I've tried, when I say I tried, I've had a few in-play bets while they're actually running in the field, and I've done my money because I'm not at the same time. And it might seem silly, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. A lot can happen in a play of rugby. So I'm a pre-match or before the game punter, anti-post, and I'm a half-time punter. I've got lots of time. I'm not influenced by the game. When it comes to the level of stake, I think it goes back to the old unit system. You've got to say to yourself, this is a 2-unit game, a 3-unit game. And honestly, even when I was on YouTube every week, I'd have probably a 5-star bet, 5-unit bet every 2 or 3 weeks. I certainly didn't have them every week. They don't come around that often where you really like something. So you've got to have your range of, if your unit's 100 Rand or 10 or 5 euros or whatever, you've got to say, right, I'm going to go 15. You have your 10 or your $100 before the game, or your 200 Rand in halftime. You say to yourself, if I like the handicap at halftime, whether I'm behind or not is irrelevant at this point. This is about the price. And if you're getting too many points at halftime, even if you're losing by 12 and your handicap was, 4, and you're over a tryout and they're giving you 15 now or 16, you're going, hang on, I'm interested. And it goes back to what Sean Nicholas used to say. When the team goes 10 points from their original handicap, it's time to get in. Whether 10's the right number or not, it's more about a feeling and you're watching. So to answer that question, Shane, I've had more money in play in a bet than I had anti-post, but I've also had games where I've only had a halftime bet, where I didn't even take one before because I didn't know what to do or wasn't sure. It didn't feel right. But I've also had pre-match bets where that was my only bet. So I advise people all the time, write down, take a weekend, especially after you've lost, take a weekend and write down what you would do at the prices, how much you'd put down. Do that for a week or 2 or for 5 games, and then start to look and say, okay, I'm starting to call it right. If you're calling it wrong, turn it up. Figure out what's going wrong and fix it and come back again. There's no point in losing every week. It's silly. If you, I can carry on for hours. I know, sorry.
No, yeah. I know you can carry on for hours, but no doubt about that. But no, thanks. I think you answered the question well, Gav. Just to pop in there, you asked, about my opinion on it. Yes, I'm like the same as you. I used to try and bet in running during the game, but the stress, by stress, I mean the stress of actually thinking your bet's on, then it's not on. Some of the bookies give very low stakes during the in-play, and so I actually thought I'm a halftime. To be honest, I don't punt a lot at halftime. I'm more of a pre-game punter, but if I do punt, it's going to be at halftime. I guess I'm older now. I can't be bothered with the stress of trying to punt in play, as in during the game, unless there's like an injury break or something. So I'm in agreement with that one.
My mate Paris is a racing punter, and he's got a saying that says, "Load the cannon and fire." And I'm going to say that I am always ready to fire at halftime, but I don't always. The money's there. I'm ready to press the button. So if you are watching a game and you like it, and you've had a pre-match bet, or even if you haven't, you've got to be ready, because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to make a deposit during halftime, and then the thing moves, and then you get there's all sorts of things that can happen. So you've got to be ready to press that button. And again, don't just stick within your range of units. Don't do stupid crap, and you'll be fine. Right, this game.
I just want to mention JP's comment here, Gavin, quickly, because he asked how much. So I know most guys wouldn't want to put their amounts on there, but I want to get back to that at the end of the show. So I don't want to cover it now.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I want to just ask you something. I don't want to ask you what your staking is. I'll tell people how mine has changed over the years, but I'm curious to hear from your experience. And don't answer it now. We'll talk at the end about, what are the biggest punters out there putting on a rugby game? I'm also quite curious to know that. But carry on with this game.
Happy to divulge it. We'll talk later. All right, so I was at that game. In fact, I had a halftime bet on this game. South Africa were 28-10, nearly 3-1 in this fixture in 2015. And I had a decent strike. I think I had a couple of grand on at halftime. I'd already had a pre-match bet. My kid was a flag bearer that day because he was 12 years old. This is to me, this is not enough. If South Africa play like they did 2 weeks ago, they can win this game by 40, 35, 40, whatever. It's Argentina must win this match to win this tournament. If they don't win this game, they don't win the tournament. And they are 2 points behind. He was also there. Yeah. It was a great game. I lost, but I actually ended up drinking with some Argentinian oaks, and I said, geez, I've been waiting for you oaks to win eventually. This was great. There weren't many of them at the game, but it was good. I'm a minus punter here. I like South Africa, but I'm not going to take 9-10, Brent. I'm actually going to take a 15-10 or an 18-10. I think they win by more than 20, and I'm going to get a price here. And if they win by 16 or 17 and I lose my bet, I'm happy. I mean, obviously I'm not ecstatic, but I'd rather have a smaller bet on this game and go for a price.
Okay, and Chris, anything to add on to the conversation that's being had, whether it be on this game or?
I don't think Argentina can win this game. I don't think they can. I don't think they've got enough to win this game.
Well, I would have given you 5-10 if that was going to be Oracle's prediction. 30, 20. I thought it was going to be 30 now. You are right. I'm also more leaning on the books there as well. Now, I think also just one comment actually is I don't know if you guys seen. I don't know which podcast I was watching that Angus Gardner's on the ref, and he was the one that Rassie's had beef with previously. So they're saying, is that going to be an omen, or is he going to have a little bit of a blinker on, a little bit of upset for us? Because if it starts getting messy there, I think there could be a lot of penalties in this game, actually.
No, I WhatsApped Gardner the other day. He said, don't worry, he's not getting involved.
Rassie's are making videos of him, and he's running away.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I mean, he might have had a beef with him. I think the video was on Nick Berry, if I remember correctly.
Oh, was it Berry? That's it, Berry.
But I think for me personally, I mean, I'm not saying all refs, but I think during the game, refs sometimes get if someone's particularly annoying them in the game, there'll be a subconscious shift, almost wanting to screw the guys that are pissing you off. I think a guy like Gardner will have, whatever happened previously, he probably would have analysed his own performance and maybe made some changes to how he interprets. But yeah. Interesting, always interesting. I mean, a lot of people focus on the refs. A lot of people don't bother too much about the refs. But this should be a cracking game.
Well, it's quite interesting. I think Rassie said, I think some people have said it from the inside, Khaleesi being captain, they talk about body language and why he's so super nice. That was deliberate because there was a time where we would just come in and rah, 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 and do, and shout at refs. And psychologically, Khaleesi, big nice guy, big smile, no matter what. Apparently, there is a psychological effect there, and I think we have. You guys remember that we have had a much better rubber against the green in a few recent years, and maybe that does play a factor.
Right. Well, let's move on. I think let's do a bit of URC now. Then we'll come back to World Cup, which won't take us too long. We've just got we'll talk about the bronze medal match as well. Let me just bring up. That's still the Bunnings. Let me just get it. Okay, this is a bit unclear, but I'm going to bring up the banners for each game as well. We got Friday night game, Stormers against Leinster. And let me start with you here, Gav, on this one. I'm hoping Mark Dunphy's still on there because the whole week he's been WhatsApping me saying, why are Leinster such big favourites? I said, well, the Stormers don't have their box. He says, well, Leinster are missing 16 players. Here it is. The handicap, if anything's gone out slightly, I saw plus 8.5 Stormers earlier in the week. It's now plus 9.5. Now, Gav, I know you did say you haven't looked too much at URC, but just gut feel. What's your feel on the handicap? Is it anything anything you might get involved in?
Yes, I'm going to tell you what I think, and it's very possible I might have a couple of small bets this weekend. Again, halftime or just before the game. But right now, I haven't looked at it much, and so I'm going to give you what stands out to me. I just want to make one more comment on the ref. I don't know if you watched you did watch the game, but that Australian captain kept carrying on to the ref, and I still said to my son, is he allowed to do that? I mean, you talk about a ref getting a bit irritated with a player. That Australian captain it's almost like he had too many talks to the ref. I don't know if it's limited, but they should limit that. You remember they used to have a white card system. It's just so bad for the whole thing. Like, I'm thinking, like, what is this like doing again? He keeps going back to the ref. Refs don't change their minds. They just keep going back. They don't change it. Anyway. All right, so the Stormers handicap appears to be quite big. They've never sent a decent team here, this Leinster. So it's what we can expect. That Western Province Currie Cup team was rubbish. I don't know. It looks big. I would be a Stormers punter, but I got to tell you, I'm going to watch some first. And sorry, one other thing I want to say to you. The handicap is built into the algorithm in these rugby calculators. And I've built rugby calculators. So if they start at 9, even if the Stormers start winning, there will still be that 9-point number. They don't manually change it to 3 and say, well, hang on, we got this wrong. Let's go. So there will be value with the Stormers handicap for the entire game if they start winning, and vice versa. So that's very important to understand. A guy asked me the other day, if they score a try, what happens? Stormers score a try, they don't go to 2. They go to 6, 5. They don't go, there's no knee jerk here. It's a gradual move towards as time goes on. But if the scores are the same, after 20 minutes, the handicap's 8. So it could be 15 all, and the handicap will be 23. So that's generally how these mathematical calculators work. So that's why with halftime, I haven't kept a record, but I've got to say my halftime bets are probably 70% of my profits come off from my halftime bets and not my pre-match ones. Sharks, same story. They were rubbish in the Currie Cup. They've obviously got a few players back, but not the URC players. 20, probably not enough. They could win by 40. I don't know. So I'm leaning Stormers plus. I'm leaning Glasgow minus. Ulster, I would take the minus there. That Dragons, Wales.
Let's stop you there because that's the 3 Friday games, and just bring Chris in for his opinion. But before he does it, I see the Admiral coming in. Just mentions the Stormers starting team is average, but their bench is horrendous. Henrik is also on Leinster. I must say, I was actually leaning towards the Stormers outright play, and Mark had me convinced how weak Leinster was there. But after seeing punters like Admiral and Henrik coming in, I'm not so sure. Yeah. And I can also mention that Admiral was he was on the early minus 12.5. We were talking about this beforehand. Obviously, doesn't do a punter much good now. But in terms of market moves, Glasgow Warriors minus 12.5. That was posted on the forum by the Admiral early in the week. I saw he put it on Twitter as well. And there was an immediate move there because of the Sharks squad that they've got available to them there to minus 20.5. So, Chris, let me bring you in on Friday night's games because these ones we do have the teams in that for. We got Stormers, Glasgow, and Ulster. I mean, the Glasgow and Ulster games at the same time. So I'm definitely not going to be watching Ulster Dragons personally.
Yeah, I'm the same in sentiment there. I'm leaning Stormers and Glasgow here for sure. I'm seeing the Stormers, not love for Stormers, love for Leinster. I'm not sure what team sheets we're looking at, but that Stormers team, that's the Stormers team without the books, and it's a Leinster second, third team, and we're at home, first game of the season. I think 9 points is hell of a lot to be taken on. But yeah, I'm definitely not on Leinster minus 9. I I agree with Mark Dumpy there. If you just look at the matchups, that doesn't make sense to me. So, and how happy to take on the Stormers at home against a traveling weaker Leinster team at this stage of the season. Maybe if they were more into their stride, I'll be looking at it differently. But Stormers, when last was Stormers +9 at home anyway? I don't know when I last even saw
Correct.
that. Yeah.
That's what I said. It feels too big.
Yeah. So no Leinster -9 for me. I will take Stormers' first game of the season. And I think even back in the day, Newland's first games of the season were solid performances. But that's sentiment. But don't worry about that. And also, Glasgow. I don't think that's enough either. I mean, isn't the Sharks also taking a second or third team? I think you're missing 17 players. That's probably not enough either. Sharks have traveled all the way to Scotland again. They've been horrendous on the road for years. That's not enough. Well done. You ever got on it? The earlier prices. I still think -20 is the right play. And don't even ask me about Ulster Dragons. That's my classic. I didn't even realize. I'll just look at the results at the end of the weekend.
I got +4 Leinster on Monday, Chris.
You got plus. Damn you! Roy, you moved the cap, Oracle. You moved it.
Roy Brown, 90% Shield game. He's talking, of course, about the NPC there. No Galant for the Stormers, a very poor Stormers team. So a bit of a mixed thing there, because I saw Johan Esther isn't coming on the Stormers Plus. So that was Friday's game. So we do have the teams in that. Henrik making the point the Sharks tend to be better travellers, and that is actually true. But let's quickly, Chris, I'm going to read these handicaps out in case you can't read it, and you can just give me any fancies on the Saturday games. And just guys in the live chat as well, Chris and I were sort of messaging each other this afternoon. The best way to handle the URC, it might be good to have a Friday show for the URC because all the Saturday teams and that will only come out tomorrow. The same thing applies to the Gallagher Premiership as well. But let me read you these. We've got Bulls -18.5 at home to Ospreys. Henrik's already said points in Pretoria. I agree with him 100%. Yeah. Zebras +7.5 against Edinburgh. Scarlets +4.5 against Munster. Cardiff -7.5 against the Lions. I got a comment on that one. And Connacht -7.5 against Benetton. So, Chris, what do you think of the Saturday fixtures? It's a busy Saturday. There's 5 games.
Yeah. Totally agree with the Bulls. I think coming back at the Bulls, I'm interested to see how they go. I'm hoping they got a bit more grunt to them at home, and if they play like teams that he coaches, see how they go. Because I mean, they have made 3 of the last finals. They are a good side. So that 18 might not even be enough. I think Ospreys to come to Loftus with the Bulls and a new coach and a new lease of life could not be enough. Zebra Edinburgh, don't even ask me. Scarlet Munsters. Scarlet's been all right. But I actually think Munster minus. Yeah, I think they could start the season well. I think that's a good opportunity for Munster to start well. I think that might be a bit low. I would have probably had it at 7. So I haven't properly capped these without the teams. But Cardiff Lions, not so sure. I can't trust the Lions with anything. Connacht at home -7. That could be a few points short. I like the minus there. So just the Bulls minus, possibly Munster plus, Connacht minus are the ones that are eyeing out to me.
Well, I'm going to go to Gavin now. Chris, I trusted you to keep it brief, and you did, but I don't trust Gavin. So, Gavin, I'm going to narrow you down to 2 games, okay? I'm going to give you the 2 South African games, unless you particularly fancy anything else very strong. But Bulls Ospreys, Bulls -18.5, and Cardiff Lions, Cardiff -7.5. What are your thoughts on the 2 SA games?
Yeah, Brent, you're 100% right. The other games, I'll watch a couple, and as you said, 1 or 2 of them at the same time. So yes, I will be involved watching the Bulls at 2:00, and I'll be watching the Lions. The Bulls is not enough. This can be very big. It's a 2:00 game. I don't know what the weather's like. I will tell you that it's been raining in Durban the whole week. My wife's been there visiting her mother, and every time she goes onto a video call, it's grey and wet. So it's been raining, and I don't know if anyone's on the show from Durban, but it's been wet and not great. So I don't know how much that'll affect your points betting on the game. I'm going to tell you, you probably want to have a bet with me on this.
Probably not much in Pretoria, Gav. I'm going to be honest.
No. Yeah, I'm a Bulls minus punter again. I'll look for a price. I think that'll be a lot higher than 18. They can win by over 30. It can be very big. Cardiff Lions interests me. If I'm going to have one bet this weekend, it's definitely going to be on this game. And yes, I'm backing the Lions, and I'll tell you why. Cardiff have won 1 fixture here between the two over the years, and it was only by 3 points. The Lions played very well over there. And yes, they lost the Currie Cup last week. I think they're over their hangover. This is a new season. I think 7 is too many for this. I really do. I think the Lions will win this game.
I want to stop you there to give a quick explanation, because I never caught it properly. A quick explanation of our squash bet, because this is going to be it. I think Cardiff will beat the Lions comfortably. Yes. I think the Lions are down and out after the Currie Cup final. They've had to travel over there, and I think they get taken apart by Cardiff. So let's have the bet on this one.
So this is the first again. Yeah. So this is this is to win the serve. Okay. So there's it's 500 rand a bet, but you win the serve. So if you win this bet, you choose the game next week, irrespective if I like it, if I don't like it, or I like it. So you're putting me. In other words, let's say it was my turn this week, and you like Cardiff. I call Cardiff. You've got to accept the bet. You've become the bookmaker now. I've got the ball. I'm the punter. And when you're at 500 down or 1,000 down, there's no settling. You can win your way back. But if you get to 1,500, so in other words, you lose 3 in a row, then you settle. You go back to 0, and then we serve a game. So that's a game, in other words.
And if you win, say if I win serve this week, Cardiff hammer the Lions, I call next week's game. You've got to take it now. Correct. Win that. Do I keep the serve?
Yes. You can. You need to win 3. Yeah, you need to win 3 to win the game. So once you 1,500 rand up, you've won. I pay you, and then we start at scratch, and we play to get the serve again.
Okay. So one question. So I win this week. I win next week as well. So I'm 500 rand up. I've served.
No, you're 1,000 rand. You've won 2. You're 1,000 rand.
Oh, do I even get 500 for this week as well?
Yes. Yeah. No, this one we have to agree on. With this, to win the serve, we have to agree on the bet.
Okay. So now I win the serve. I win next week as well. I'm 1,000 rand up. I then serve again. You win. Correct. Does that just mean you win the service, or do you drop the 1,000 to 500?
No, I've got to win 2 to get the serve.
Okay. Got you. Understood. Okay, sorry about that diversion, everyone over there. But Gavin and I disagree on this game.
Sorry. Okay, we'll talk about that. Let's serve first.
Okay, no, 100%. Well, anyway, we've got our agreement on the Cardiff Lions game. I do like I like Cardiff on the minus here.
Are we doing 7 no bet or 8 no bet?
7 no bet. Happy with that. Bet. Okay. Or even 8 no bet if you want, Gav.
Okay, happy.
Let's go 8 no bet. Cool. Okay, so we've got 8 no bet there. Fareed reckons the Lions could be the only team that is properly matched fit. That is a good point, Fareed.
Yes.
You know, they have been playing.
Thank you for doing that after we spun for serve.
But anyway, that's your URC. But we've obviously still got Women's Rugby World Cup to talk on. Chris, are you happy to hang around for this one?
No, I got no say. No, go Canada.
No, but you happy to listen? So I'm not. I've really enjoyed this tournament. I'm not particularly strong on too much here, but Gavin, let me bring you in. This is the bronze medal match. Now, when I was writing the blog for this, I expected this to be on Friday night with the main game on Saturday. It's not the case. Both games are at Twickenham on Saturday. This is an early kickoff. At this stage, it doesn't look like rain on Saturday when I looked, which is good because Twickenham drains very well, but you don't want the first game. I mean, if it was really raining, like if you had this in Cape Town, and the first game could really stuff things up for the second game. But I don't think that will be the case. We've got New Zealand minus 9.5 against France. I have selected the teams. I must be honest, I haven't had a good look yet. Because for me, Gavin, I reckon this is going to be an open game. At the end of the day, it's a third-place playoff. I'm going over 52.5 points. You got any fancy there?
No, I'm going to agree with you, and I'll have a little bit on this, but only because I'm watching. It's a dead rubber. I do think, though, that I was talking about New Zealand being at their worst position. I think their women are at their worst position as well, mentally. I think losing that game against Canada, and they got properly beaten. The whole country's talking about it, and they're not even in the final. They were saying, we were used to them showing up and winning tournaments, and now they're not even in the final. So, yeah, I think, that first half against South Africa where it was 10-all, They never look like running away. I know they won by 20 something in the end, but off a nearly 40 handicap. I don't think New Zealand have won, off the top of my head, I don't think they've won a lot of handicaps in this game. I think they've performed worse than people thought. France, on the other hand, haven't been great. I wouldn't get involved in the game here, but I think you're right. This could be open. This could be 30 all. I don't know. Yeah, I think your over 52 is the right call here.
Well, I just want to bring up Henrik's comment because this is the worst news I've seen in a while. I did not realize this, Henrik, when I was looking at everything. At the Women's World Cup final, the game of the weekend, he's going to be missing the box test as you'll be watching that at the same time. I'll probably find a way to watch both at the same time, but hell of a disappointed. And I agree with you, Henrik. I'm really looking forward to the final. And let's bring that up now for Gavia. Bit of money. It's taken a while, but Canada in from +7.5 to +6.5. There was almost 3-1 available on them to win in the 80 minutes. I see at Bet Exchange, I think I saw 23-10 now available on Canada. You probably won't get much bigger than that. Gavin, Canada turned in what for me was one of the performances for the ages last week. And I find myself wanting to back them. The only thing that worries me is we've seen many an example in men's rugby over the years where a team delivers their 100%. Let's call it almost their final performance a week early. You think of England beating New Zealand in the World Cup and then losing to us in 2019. So what's happening here? What do you think? Because for me, if Canada could reproduce that game against New Zealand, even England are going to battle to stop them.
And their clothes are being tumble dried at the moment. Excuse me, and the local people are helping them in West London. They crowdfunded their way over here. They've been eating at local restaurants. There's no Lani anything going on. I think this is their biggest game. Canada's coming. Canada will win this game. I think England haven't had a test yet. They haven't had a proper test. Honestly, I think this Canadian, and they have won the World Cup before.
Canada.
Yeah.
Beaten finalists in 2014, I think, or 2000. I don't think they've won it. Eh? Someone in the live chat can come in. As far as I know, they were beaten in the final, but they could have won it. I'm not going to argue too much. I will argue with you. So I don't disagree with you on Canada, Gav, but I disagree with you on England not being given a test. I thought France gave them a hell of a run, and I thought that 18-point, even though I was obviously cheering the minus, but I thought France were a bit unlucky. I thought they actually, there was a time where I thought they were going to beat England there. So I do think, and that also has me leaning almost a little bit towards Canada. Shane reckons the good player of the tournament. Have to agree. I would love to know I don't think we've ever seen any prices on that, but I'd have to agree. 3-1 anytime try scorer. I mean, what an incredible player. Canada for the win, says Brad. Canada on the plus the right bet, says Henrik. And for Reed, you always get someone who wants to be difficult, and that's our man for Reed here. England, for me, they barely fired last week and still won by 18 points, which is also a good point. You have anything to add there?
That France have ever beaten them. I don't think France have ever won that fixture.
I don't know. I know they, in the Six Nations they met earlier. Oh, hold on. France against New Zealand, are you talking about? Or are you talking about England last week now?
No. France, England. I don't think France ever beaten England.
I know they lost by 1 point in the Six Nations, 43-42 earlier this year. It was very close. I suspect they have beaten England, but anyway, but that's last week's fixture. We shouldn't delve too much.
I just want to point out something as well here, Brent, is Canada's at home. Canada's the home team here. So they have the change room. They have all that mental crap. They're the home team. They don't have the visitors bench. They're the home team, and that might help them as well.
Possibly, I think. I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
It's a little different.
Yeah, women, both games will be super close. Both pluses are gold. So yeah, certainly looking forward to these finals. Chris, any comment? I heard you say Canada just before we went on.
You're on mute, I think.
Yeah, I'm on mute. I just been following. Yeah. I haven't been following closely, but I've jumped on the Canada train with you guys just by what I'm seeing, and obviously we love an underdog story. So yeah, going for them to go win it. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know much. Obviously, just read the odd article and see. I don't know. I don't know enough to comment, guys. To be honest.
No problem. But take us through, just skim through here before we do I want to chat about JP's point to end the show today.
Yeah.
But just take us through the Premiership. I know you do follow it, but also you're probably waiting for team news on some of these. Harlequins against Bath, Harlequins plus 7.5. Newcastle plus 5.5 against Sarries. Northampton minus 9.5, and Bristol minus 5.5. Anything stand out for you in the remaining Premiership games?
No standouts again. Like you say, with waiting for team news. I think that's Newcastle handicap's interesting, but like I say again, team news. I mean, I don't know if that's jumping on their bandwagon being bought by the Red Bulls, because Saracens are quite well fancied this season. They are generally strong, but Newcastle at home, it's quite a known thing. Newcastle at home on a Friday in the first games of the season they often sometimes win it, so it could be based on those factors. But that seems a bit low. But low on the plus there. Northampton, Exeter, I'm not going to make a comment on that. And Bristol, I quite like Bristol making the final this year, getting close to it. Leicester have lost a few good players, so I think Bristol minus here at home for Ashton Gate could be the play.
Yeah, look out for points there as well. I can tell you. I just want to go in. Dylan makes a comment. England have won, and we go back to the Women's Rugby World Cup. 30-plus games in a row, 99% full stadium. And I agree with you on the stadium, Dylan, but don't be swayed by the 30-plus games. Go and have a look at their record going into the last World Cup, where they also were unbeaten, I think, for like 4 years, and then lost to New Zealand in the final. Of course, that game did take place in New Zealand, and I appreciate that's potentially the big difference there. It's going to be an absolutely cracking game, no doubt about it. Right, guys, I think that, I mean, there probably is other rugby. I know there's some that I don't really, I see these Super Rugby Oz is top 14. If anyone wants to throw bets in the live chat, we'll certainly bring it up. But I want to bring up, and I've favorited his comment here. So I wanted to bring up JP's comment. So how much do you guys stake per week? So JP, I'll start. I mean, for me, it really varies. It depends on things. I've had some crazy bets earlier in the year, which went pear-shaped. That famous Lions-Sharks game at Ellis Park, where I was on the Sharks, and they got absolutely hammered. So at the moment, I'm betting a lot smaller than I did in a few years. I'll have a few thousand on a game, tops. Sometimes I'll even just have a few hundred on the game, and I'm more than happy with that. And I don't expect the guys to say what they punt. But what I do want to ask you, and let me start with you, Gav, is what is a big, I mean, you've been on the bookmaker side of things. So what is, and I know it's difficult sometimes for a successful punter to get a big bet on, but what would be the sort of biggest bet? And you don't have to give me the bookmaker or anything or give any detail, but what's a big bet in South African rugby where a guy phones and says, I want, 100,000 of it? Or we're talking rands here, Mark, I must just point out. But what's a big bet for a bookmaker to lay in this country?
So I had a friend that worked at another bookmaker that took bigger bets, and there are individual bookmakers, so in other words, not on the internet, with standalone shops.
Yes.
And I know definitely in Cape Town, they'll take 300,000 rand bets, but you're not going to get the price. So this is very important. So, and there's cricket bookmakers in South Africa that will take 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 rand bets. An example is the South Africa to win the last Rugby World Cup. At the time, they were 3-1, and there were guys interested in taking R1 million, and I quoted them 22-10. Said, you want to have R1 million? You're going to get 22-10. You're not getting 3-1. You want 3-1, you've got to get in your bucky and you've got to drive around with cash. But so there are bookmakers that will take very big bets, but you're not going to get the price that you see on their website or what was quoted over the phone. So that's something that's common in South Africa. Biggest bets at 9-10 without changing the price that I've laid in my time, 100,000. Lots of 50s, 70s, 80s, 100s, plenty. More than 100 is rare, and you're not getting 9-10. You're getting 8-10, or you're getting 7-10. So that is common in South Africa. If you want a big bet, there are definitely punting bookmakers out there that'll take you on, and those are not done on the internet. That's done over a phone call, or it's done in the shop. To go back to what JP's asked, I'm going to say this is subjective. There's a show I watched the other day. Cyrus Jansen is a American that's been living in China for a long time, and he was talking about freedom. Americans say they're free, and he said, well, the Chinese say they're free. So where I'm going with this example is freedom means different things to different people, and a big bet will always mean something different to somebody else. So I've had biggest bet I've ever had on a game is 20,000 rand, and I've put my wife's salary on a game. The Jaguares -6 against the Sharks all those years ago, and I mean she watched the whole game. She got paid earlier than me on that Friday night. I've done it, and I've lost the 20 grand bet I had. I followed it up with a 15 grand bet, and they both lost. I lost 35 in one day, and I didn't punt for 4 months. So that was enough to close the door and say, you're getting too big for your boots. In my day, 5 and 10 grand bets were common. Happy to have them. Didn't think too much about it if I liked something. But today, I can have 75 rand on a game, Brent. I can have 500 rand on a game. I mean, I bet 500 rand with you.
Can I say
nowadays,
something?
1,000 rand is. I'm going to finish now. Nowadays, 1,000 rand bet for me is actually a big bet. It's a very big bet. I'm a 500, 300, 200. Yeah.
And Gav, I want to say something. That is the reason why this is probably your longest unbroken run on the show. Because what often happens as a punter, and you touched on it there, you bet, you get whether you're getting overconfident or chasing, but you start betting too big. And then the last thing you want to be on, I mean, I know Henrik said it to me a few times as well. Like, you don't want to come on the show when you're on the worst run of your life and you feel like you couldn't tip water out of a bucket, I mean, and because you're betting small, if you have a bad weekend this weekend, you're still going to be in a good mood on Thursday night because you're not putting your life on it. And when you are betting big, it changes everything. And I know myself, I'm in a similar position to you now in that I'm still like last weekend I did well. I landed a little bit of a Griquas 25-1 punt and that. So make no mistake, I had a decent weekend. But if I hadn't, if I'd lost all my bets last weekend, I still would have been back for more. I'm definitely betting much more controlled and smaller. I just want to go back to, I just want to get Chris's comment on this now. But before we do that, Chris, I just want to touch on a couple of comments. First of all, I've got to bring Auburn's comment up, just confirming Canada haven't won a Rugby World Cup, Gav. So, but we didn't have even 500 on that, I don't think. But anyway, now I'm only teasing. And then, Shane, you mentioned Kildane. This lady is absolutely spectacular. My one worry about her, she missed the quarterfinal with injury. Last week, I saw her limping at the end there. She is playing. She's obviously been declared fit to play, but watch out. I don't know if she'll make it, but she's an absolutely superb player. But Chris, do you want to come on talk about punting? I see Dylan, who I don't know if he's a mate of yours, saying tell them about your mate's bet on the Bok game.
Mute.
Oh, you muted, Chris? Oh, you're not. You there, Chris? Oh, it's muted. For some reason, Chris is muted.
Typing to Dylan.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go, Chris. There we go.
Craig's of us. Yeah, he's put a bet on. It was accepted at Sunbet. He's got 100. He's got 200,000 on Arge plus 16. Accepted at Sunbet. He's on it. So I've seen the slip. So yeah, 200.
How much?
200,000. Argentina. Yeah, on the RG's plus. So
I don't think I can get 1,000 rand with those guys, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so as Albert said, well, that's great. I don't have to bet. He's just made my game more interesting for me. I'm going to enjoy watching that because I'm not losing it. But it's talking about he's few. I've seen a few bookmakers. I think PokerBet accept his bets. World Sports Betting have accepted it.
Okay,
one of their whales.
One of their whales, or that threw me off. That's a very big one. And Shane also saying he had €2,000 on a game of tennis. And I must tell you guys, I had spread betting. I've had some of my biggest wins, and I've had some absolutely horrific spread betting losses when I was betting in pounds with SpreadX. And overall, I came out on top, but I actually stopped it because it was just too much pressure. I was absolutely broken. But anyways, gents, that brings us to the end of the show. We're about to hit the hour mark. Chris, you got anything to finish us off with from your side?
No. So about staking, I'll be honest, I'm not a massive staker either. I have my budget for the weekend, and I look at my bets and I try to spread it out. And whatever I feel stronger, that goes more on. But I normally have a mixed bag as well. I do have a bit of probably too much. Probably I'm a classic DJ, but I mean, some bets obviously do land. I do have a strategy that works, but yeah, nothing crazy.
And any sort of best bet for the weekend for you Just going through your hands, treble, Australia plus 14.5, Argentina 15.5, Ulster minus 16.5 at 11-2.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hold my horses. I'm going to hold it to that plus 23, both plus. I think that you can get both plus 23, Oz and Argentina at even, just under even money. I think it's not as strong, but it's probably a medium bet. I think that Storm. I think that Stormers number is too high. I like that number. I don't think that team is that's disrespectful in my opinion. It should be 4 points, 5 points max. And I actually do like, Munster have got Lancaster as coach now. Connacht have got Lancaster as coach. Munster have Macmillan. That's why I had Munster on the minus and Connacht on the minus there. I think those are quite low numbers for teams that might have come out the blocks. They've got quite nice starts to their season. I think they'll start well. So those two minuses are the caps I like, and possibly Bulls. But those are the ones I'm looking at.
Well, I'm going to bring Gavin now to finish off from his side, but I want to bring, and this is why I want to bring Gavin. JP's really made some intriguing comments today that have captured the imagination, so to speak. And JP's asking about another quiz. Now, we're definitely going to do a quiz again soon, JP. But guys, let me know what you think about this concept. How about a quiz? How about a concept where I'm happy to run the quiz? We put it out to the good for the game, guys. Everyone puts in $200 or $500, and we get a format that's kind of like a knockout type of thing. So you go up against someone. And at the end of the day, it's like a Super Brew pool. We come in and we'll have a winner, and I'm sure I'll be able to get a sponsor here or two. So let me know, guys, what you think of that. I've been toying with it for a while, and JP's comment might just get me over the line to get it going. Oracle will give you the last words. Well, it may not be the last words, but pretty close to the last words on the show. Your best bets and any other thoughts, anything you fancy in the golf.
Yeah, you just reminded me the Riders' Cup's on. I'm definitely going to be watching. I'll have a bet on the whole tournament. I'm going to have a look at the players. I don't know where I'm going yet, but I'll have a look. I did notice the prices were reasonably close, 6-10, 12-10. And again, you look around, you might get something better. I'm not punting on players to win points, and I think that's too alternate for me.
No, look,
yeah.
What I'm just interested in McIntyre. But 12-1 have a little bit of a go, But I agree with you. But the actual matches themselves, you get involved in?
Yes. Generally, the first session I watch. I've punted draws in the past in this, or ties when they play the 4-ball or 4 balls, not foursomes, 4 balls. The ties are common, and I think they quoted it generally 11-2, 6-1 you can get, and that's that. I've won some money on that in the past. I just want to go back to what JP said with the quiz. What I like about the quiz is everyone's got a strength. You got people that, like I made a comment earlier, Canada have won the World Cup before. I was wrong, but you ask a question like that, I might say yes. There's people that are strong on actual scores in games. They'll be strong with players. So we could almost have groups. We could do this a World Cup way. So we could put players in groups. So the guy say, right, I'm strong on players. So he goes into a players group. I'm strong on scores, venues, whatever. We could come up with, say, 6 categories of groups where people say they're strong. You put them into that group. And everyone plays everyone once. And then the winners go into a quarterfinal, semi-final, final kind of thing, where all categories are available in the knockouts. I think giving the strength to what, instead of just being general knowledge rugby, and I'll obviously help you with that. Sorry, one other thing here. I think it's I wanted to answer Shane's question with the factoring. So the answer is yes and no. So some systems have got factoring, and bookmakers are very lazy, and sports traders are lazy to go and fiddle with them. I'll tell you, I'm trying to make it more interesting, Henrik. In Europe, you've got this.
Gary, I'm going to stop you. You can carry on, but I'm going to stop you. This reminds me of Gary Lenton. Gary used to come on. Remember before GG Gaming, we used to have GG Gaming gone mad. So Gary would come on. We wouldn't discuss the show at all. The show would be live at 9. Gary would arrive at about 1 minute past 9. During the show, I'd mention something. Gary would come up with the most complicated competition. And they'd be great competitions. But good Lord, who do you think had to do the admin for that? It used to take me hours. But it was it was brilliant. I loved it. But you kind of reminded me of that. I hear you. I also like the complicated competition, but it's got to be manageable as well. But carry on.
I remember he did one show eating his custard and ice cream in his car in the parking lot once. Do you remember that?
He was getting out of the restaurant. I remember that.
Sorry, Gab.
Carry on, Gab.
So the European systems come in with factoring already. And the Curry Cup, for example, would be a 1 out of 10. And I had to make it a 10. And Henrik will tell you, he bet with me when I had the factoring on that. And a lot of these guys, I just had honesty limits with people because I couldn't be bothered to keep having to move a system on a factoring. That factoring it's a great idea, but there are so many of them and it's very complicated. And for the man in the street, even sports trader, they don't know how to deal with that. So the answer is yes and no. There's a lot of bookmakers that are not on these fancy factoring systems, and it's all manual. They'll just manually limit somebody or limit a tournament or limit a game. So it's not as bad. It's probably 10% as bad as it is in Europe. He froze, Brent. You're on mute.
Guys, what I'm going to call the show there. It was a great show. Always good to chat rugby. There's so much we could definitely split the show. There's so much rugby there. Gav, final word, final goodbye to the guys in the live chat.
Yeah.
And Chris, thanks very much.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Carry on. We got it.
I think we delayed or you muted. Someone's muted. Yeah, we were totally out of sync.
I think it's fine. My best bet. So let's leave it at that.
Henrik's asked me for my best bet. I like South Africa, yeah.
Oh, you haven't given your best bets in there. Okay, hold on. There we go.
Yeah, go South for Africa minus. And I do like the Lions, Henrik, because of the statistical part of this fixture. And yes, they got beaten last week, and well done to all the punters that went for Griquas. A friend of mine phoned me up and he said, Gavin, how do you take a big minus in a final? And I said to him, bro, I watched the Boylan game. I watched the Griquas game. I won on both of them. I switched at the right. I mean, the Curry Cup, I did very well this year. I got one Boylan game wrong. I think I got 2 Sharks games wrong. I did very well the Curry Cup. It was very good to me. I got the final wrong, sure. But yeah, given it, take the bet 50 times, I'm still backing the Lions minus to win that game. So yeah, I like the Lions here. I think they can win. I like Canada and I like Australia. But the best for me is South Africa. South Africa will romp home here.
Well, just before we say goodbye to Chris, just to mention, that's the homepage now of Good for the Game. Those are just the rugby articles that are up. So much great rugby to look forward to this weekend. Chris, before I say cheers to you, thanks to all the guys on the live chat. It was an awesome show. And thanks to you, man. Let's hope it's a good weekend for you going out on the town on the Isle of Man, no doubt.
Yeah, of course. It's good. It's good vibe, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.